to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Kentucky Derby and all the bourbon you can drink in the world. And in Maryland, the land of pleasant living, the home of Old Bay seasoning, my man, John Webster. John, how are you doing this wonderful day?
Gary, I'm doing real good, man. Another great day, another good week in sports. I can't wait to get into it with you. As we've been doing the last couple weeks, we want to say hi to our guy, John Pitt, hoping he's continuing to feel better and be on the mend. John, we miss you. Can't wait till you get back, man. Hey, with that being said, Gary, I tell you what wasn't missing. What wasn't missing was the Detroit Lions kicking the Baltimore Ravens' butt up and down the field last night. That
Oh
that
man,
wasn't missing, bro.
that that
That
was
was
a
a
master
that was a
class.
rough one.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that and a few other things in the NFL, but I got a Ravens question for you first.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like one of those Arsenio moments. Can you name another Baltimore Ravens team where the defense gave up two 95-yard plus drives for touchdowns in the same game?
There was probably a game last season, John, to be honest with you. I can't think of it because that defense has been a concern for several years now. And the thing I remember last season, and again, it was like during one of their slow starts. The more I recall that there were questions about the defense, and we're saying the same thing this September that we did last September. That unless they figure out a way to shore up that defense, Lamar Jackson's not going to see a Super Bowl without a ticket. Um, it's and last night's game was something because that was a game where offensively, I mean, it was toe to toe, 14-14. I think at halftime they had gone ahead 21-14, and then Detroit just exploded on them. I think it was what 24 straight points, and until that garbage touchdown by the Ravens later on. I guess what was it? Yeah, it was 38-28. I think that was the final score. But that whole game, Detroit basically did what it wanted. It could move the ball when it wanted. Jared Goff. Uh, I mean, when he wasn't handing off to that dynamic duo, was finding his targets. I mean, ridiculously open. That's the whole thing. All that talk about, Jair Alexander and the pickups that they made during the offseason, which I thought would really improve that defense. I don't know if it's an adjustment thing or what, but right now they're pretty porous. I mean, it's like what is that thing like pouring water through a sponge or something, it'll take so much but then it starts leaking.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The term you're looking for is sieve. They look
Thank
like
you.
a sieve.
Thank you. You too
Um,
can be a journalist.
I doubt it very seriously. You guys are a lot more talented than me. Hey, this is what I'll say about the Ravens. I agree with you. Defense had a lot of problems. You mentioned Jair Alexander. He was another not playing again yesterday. Coach's decision. Don't
Hmm.
know when he'll get back on the field. So we'll have to see about that. You have one of the best safeties in football on the Ravens and Kyle Hamilton.
Hmm.
But you can't expect him to cover the whole field and cover up for all the mistakes that everybody else is making.
True.
Marlon Humphreys, he's good, but he can be off and on when he wants to be. The defense is missing the big guy up front. I can't say his name correctly, and I would tear it up if I tried. He plugs up the middle. And then Kyle Van Noy had 16 sacks last year. He's out with a hamstring injury. The lineman I'm talking
Hmm.
about has a neck injury. And there's possibilities and rumors that he may not even play this year.
Yeah.
So I will give you an even well, before I get to the biggest problem in my mind, I'll say also the offensive line is just adequate. Lamar Jackson was sacked 7 times last night. Never
Well,
has he been sacked 7 times.
speaking of defense, a healthy defense too, by the way, for the Lions. Remember that was their problem last year, and that's one reason why the Commanders went up there and won that playoff game.
Yeah. The Lions pretty much beat the Ravens at their own game last night.
Mhm.
They out physicaled them, they out hustled them, they outplayed them in all facets. And probably you want to say we're out coached too. Everybody, it was a thorough shellacking that they had last night. Now, I'll give you a new problem that I think is going to be a big problem. For the third game, Derrick Henry fumbled. Why do I say that's a big problem? Because now you're going to have to make a decision as a head coach. Do you stick with him a little bit longer and see what happens? He's had 3 fumbles, and 2 of those fumbles were in critical points in the fourth quarter. Loyalty plays a fact in this. Harbaugh is a great coach. Um, you look at somebody that's you brought this guy. You heard me say before, Gary. You brought this guy to the dance. You want to leave the dance with him, but you got to think about how far you're going to go with this. And the other thing you need to look at: are you sure you're getting the Derrick Henry that you want? And what I mean by that, are you getting an older Derrick Henry? I don't want to call him old yet, but are you getting
Yeah.
an older Derrick Henry? He had 58 yards last night, if I'm not mistaken. 28 came on his first carry, which was a touchdown. You do the math. 58 minus 28 is 30 yards for the rest of the game. He's had one. He ran really well against Buffalo. He had 20 plus yards against Cleveland. But now I think what people are also seeing now, Cleveland's defense and Cleveland as a team may be better than people want to say. It's a lot to look at. It's a lot to unwrap. You're 1-3, and you're going to Kansas City next week, and that's a place that the Ravens haven't won. So you're getting ready to go into that hostile environment. Arrowhead Stadium has some of the best fans in the NFL, and you're going to try to get a win there, and that's going to be really difficult, man. They have a lot of problems, Gary. They
Yeah.
got a lot of problems. They have a lot to unpack. I always listen to Baltimore sports. I missed it this morning, but days like this, man, to listen to 1057 The Fan and hear what they're going to say about the
My man
Ravens,
Rob.
Rob Long and the commissioner, Ed Norris, those guys, I enjoy listening to them, man. I may not supposed to be mentioning them on TV unless I'm going to pay them for it. And I'm sorry, I have no money to pay you for that free advertisement. But, But yeah, I enjoy listening to them. They break it down. I'm sorry I missed it this morning to hear the breakdown of how they felt about last night. Also, Lamar Jackson. I couldn't see the whole field, and I'm not a football player. I'm not a football coach, football player. I'm a fan. Don't know a lot about it, but I wonder on a couple of those, did he hold the ball too long? And also, should he have just gone ahead and scooted upfield and ran for some yardage as opposed to trying to stay in the pocket? Those are things that I saw.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer both questions. Looking at the fumbles that Derrick Henry has had, I think it speaks to technique that he needs to work on. Um, the one in the Buffalo game was really just a good play, the way they poked that ball out there. That I didn't see the one against Cleveland. Yeah. In their second game. But that one last night, he did not protect that ball very well, in my opinion. And I also think and I heard it pointed out on one of the post games about, his left side protection. I think you alluded to some things about the front line on both sides, but not having that left side protection, I think that has been one of the problems that they've had. And guys can kind of get to, maybe like his weak arm or something. Because I think if I remember correctly, I think that ball was kind of stripped from behind, like really over his left shoulder. And I think he has to protect the ball better. To your
Well,
point,
Hutchinson pretty much just punched it out. He
yeah,
just punched
yeah.
it. He
And but I
punched it.
but I but I think, like I said, I think it was, like I said, probably with his, non-dominant arm, as they
Hmm.
like to say. And I think that was really one of the big things. He's got to protect that ball better. When you're Derrick Henry and you're a big brute, and it was just funny how, I saw there was a State Farm commercial that ran right after that fumble. But anyway, I mean, not even them, State Farm could protect him last night. Yeah, I think he's got to do some soul searching because, you know, in the Buffalo game, we took that as an aberration rather. And because I mean, we couldn't even think of the last time he had fumbled before that. But now, when you're averaging one a game, it goes to confidence. It goes to confidence by Derrick Henry. It goes to confidence by his coach in him in those situations because the timing couldn't have been worse against Buffalo and last night. Um, I think you have to consider maybe an alternative until he starts to get his groove back a little bit. Go to some of the other guys and really kind of let him regain his focus because I think a guy like Derrick Henry, because he has relied on his strength for so long, I think he is kind of taken for granted that you still have to do some basics. You have to tuck the ball in. Maybe he's more like this as opposed to holding it like a loaf of bread as we used to talk about in football. As for Lamar Jackson, 7 sacks really speaks. I'd say it speaks more about what Detroit did to contain him. Um, there were a couple of times I thought he held the ball too long, but you know what that comes from? He had no options. He was trying to find something that just didn't develop, and that speaks to what Detroit's secondary did. And really, forcing him to look, to do his check downs and then leave the pocket. And by then there was, Hendrickson or somebody coming from an angle. There was one play where he had space in front of him, and he gets to the line, he gets to the hole, and he gets tackled at his by his ankles before he could take off. That's what I call defensively cutting off the angles. I mean, it's one thing to have it coming in, from the edges, but another guy who's kind of circling around, waiting, just really trying to play spy on him, comes up and makes this great play, this momentum killer play to drop him. Really, I mean, I think it went for only a 1 yard gain, but but they had to kick it away. And if you're going to play Lamar Jackson, you have to play him that way. You bring the heat, you cut off his angles, and you cut off his options.
All great points, Gary. I agree with you. I will add two things though. In regards to Henry, you have to also be cognizant now. He's going to spend so much time trying to correct his fumble situation. He's not going to be running naturally, I think. So now he's going you lose your natural giving gift of the running because you're thinking too much about fumbling. And when
Mhm.
you start getting into any sport and you start thinking as opposed to just playing, that's when you start having challenges.
Yeah,
So
and you
we'll see
can't
how
tell
that
me he
goes.
didn't think he wasn't thinking last night.
Yeah, yeah, he was really upset with himself on the sideline, and
Yeah.
yeah, I feel for him, man, because he's a Hall of Fame running back, and
Hmm.
he's just going through a situation, but wrong time to be going through a situation, man. And
Yeah.
like I said, you just got to see how long Harbaugh is going to go with it. The
Yeah.
other
I,
thing I'll
I,
say
I
with
do have.
Lamar Jackson, go ahead. What you got?
No, no, you go ahead, man. I'll just finish it up.
What I was going to say, Lamar, I agree with you. There was not a lot of openings. And one of the things that Dan Campbell said in the pregame show, they were going to shut down Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers maybe had two catches last night. And
Yeah.
there weren't a lot of open receivers. Everybody he threw it to seemed to be a defender very nearby.
Other
But
than a tight end. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Andrews had a couple touchdowns. But I think also what you have to look at too when you don't have anything, maybe you just try to throw that thing out of bounds without doing intentional grounding, but you just try to, throw it away and come back and play for the next down.
Yeah,
Because it was rough, Gary. I mean, all facets of the game, Detroit beat them. So, but
yeah.
go ahead, wrap it up so we can move on to that NFC East.
The Ravens' saving grace is that they play in the AFC North. And I think it's probably the weakest division right now. You're right that Cleveland's defense might be better, that Cleveland in general might be better than we think, but especially with that defense. And as long as they have Myles Garrett, yeah, that's always going to be a threat. The Ravens have to figure it out like in a hurry because Kansas City will have something to prove on Sunday. Um, the Steelers beat the Patriots. Cleveland, Cleveland again might be a better team than we think. And even Cincinnati, which had to do a reset with a new quarterback and just looked absolutely horrible. The CBS didn't even stick with that game through the middle of the third quarter before they switched to Pittsburgh, which tells you how bad it was. But I'm gonna say in the division, it's still early, and it's a division that's still winnable, but they've got a lot of fixing and soul searching to do.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. And as we slide on over to the NFC East, this is how we're going to start this. We're going to start it with the two words that you ended with, soul searching. So, the Cowboys and the Giants have a lot of soul searching to do. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the Cowboys and Giants, Gary. We'll just say we wish them the best, and hopefully they'll find a way to fix their situations. That's what we'll say. Now, let's talk about the Eagles game and the Commanders game. Eagles game. Man, I tell you, down 26-7 in the middle of the third quarter. And then they score what, 21 points, 21 points,
Yeah,
20 points
yeah,
unanswered. Yeah, 20 points unanswered. And then they get a block six to win the game 33-26. I give them a lot of credit, Gary. I give them a lot of credit. The Rams, I won't say, yeah, I'm going to say it. They had that game.
mhm,
The Rams were in control, and then they ended up getting two blocked field goals in the last 8 minutes of the game. And again, hats off to the Eagles. That's championship medal right there.
yeah,
They hung in there and they found a way to win. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I think he willed them to the win. I think he made some great decisions on passing and running that offense in the second half, and they pulled it out. Defense finally tightened up about midway through the third quarter to shut the Rams down, but at the same time, the Rams shut themselves down. I think Matt Stafford was able to get up and down that field, but again, two missed field goals, two blocked field goals, and
yeah.
that's the difference in the game for them. I will still say, on paper, they are the best team in the NFC, if not the NFL. But they will not go back to the Super Bowl, and I'm still saying they will not win the NFC East.
As time goes on, John, and I'll say over the next couple weeks, we will see who establishes themselves as the team to beat in the NFC. I want to agree with you about the Eagles just because of history. But I also want to say they haven't played their best game yet, and they're 3-0. I mean, yeah, like you said, their mettle, their resolve, their heart, their determination. That they've gutted out some wins, and there's that's stuff that's to me the heart of a champion showing right there. Um, I think their best football is ahead, and that's where I might disagree with you. I don't think anybody out of the North, excuse me, South or West divisions has established themselves as teams that can really knock them off right now. It's September. I figure by mid-October, a month from now, we might start to see a trend develop. But right now, Philly just looks like a team that they know how to win those tough games, and now they'll learn how to win games outright as opposed to coming back.
Well, Gary, hold on now. This week, the Eagles play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think Tampa Bay, and they're going down to Tampa. I think Tampa's going to give them a good game, if not beat them. And before we go to the Commander, I just got a pet peeve, man. I know it's nothing you can do about it, but maybe you can still make a call for me because I just don't understand the NFL. And really, you should be flexing games in week 1 or week 2 because you get an idea of the teams that are struggling. There's no reason why the Philadelphia LA Rams game was played at 1 o'clock this past Sunday. And
Yeah.
there's no reason why the Cowboys Chicago Bears game was played at 4 o'clock. You should be flexing out of that. Next
Hmm.
Sunday, the Eagles are playing Tampa Bay at 1 o'clock. That's not a 1 o'clock game. That's a 4 o'clock game. And really, if you really want to do something right with the NFL, why are the Miami Dolphins playing the New York Jets on Monday Night Football? Flex them out and put the Eagles in the Tampa Bay game on Monday night. I'm sorry, Gary. I got a little carried away, man. I'm
No,
sorry. I'm sorry, man.
yeah, yeah. When I saw that on the schedule for next Monday night, I guess there are two games Monday night, so that's one thing to consider. We know what game
Okay.
nobody.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think
That's I
there are
agree.
two games. Yeah,
There are
and
two games, but take one of those games and put it on Sunday and move the Eagles and Tampa Bay game to Monday night.
because of travel, they can't do that. Contractually, it's hard for them to do that. That's a game, honestly, I don't know what time it starts. I'm thinking it probably starts at 7 or something.
Seven
Um,
o'clock.
yeah, don't watch that game while you're eating dinner. That's all I can say. Maybe watch the second game, the West Coast game. Um, yeah, that's just going to be bad football, and that's all I can say. And I, even if the Dolphins were, say, 2-1 as opposed to what 0-3, I would be like, that's a Monday night game. Other than a rivalry, other than maybe history or something, I just don't see that as a Monday night game. I barely see it as a Sunday afternoon game. Why don't you try run it on Saturday against college football and see how that goes? That's where they are. But in all
I
seriousness,
normally don't say negative things about situations, Gary. I think you know that. I try to keep things positive, but that game should be played on Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock.
this isn't COVID, man.
It should be played Wednesday
Remember,
afternoon at
remember
four
how all
o'clock.
those games got flexed to midweek? I
Yeah,
think I think the Steelers and Ravens played like on a Tuesday afternoon during COVID.
yeah. This would be a prime candidate for a weekday afternoon game.
Oh,
Matter of
oh
fact, do
man.
like baseball and make it a 1:30 game on a Thursday. I'm sorry.
Talk
Let's go
about the
on and talk.
Commanders.
Yeah, let's talk about the Commanders. Let's talk about the Commanders.
Tell me what you
Hey,
saw.
man, I tell you what, they played a really good game. Their special teams played very well all around. Kickoff returns, punt returns. You do have a concern with place kicking. What's the guy's name? I forget his name. Gay, I think his last name is. He missed two field goals. I think he missed two against Green Bay. I think he missed two on Sunday. One of them was 38 yards. So you look at that. But the thing that what really shined and that really took note that I took notice of, Marcus Mariota did a wonderful job stepping in there for Jaden Daniels. Um, it's great that Mariota is there to help Daniels through. I think he's a good coach on the sideline, but also what some people don't realize, this offense is what Mariota was running when he was at his most successful. And when you bring him in the game, you're not having to change anything. I think maybe because he still knows a little bit better than Jaden Daniels, and that takes nothing away from Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a great quarterback, but Mariota knows his offense a little bit more. And I would say maybe there's a few things that he ran that Jaden Daniels hadn't run yet in that offense because Mariota knows it so well. The only thing I saw Mariota really struggle with when he was running, he made a long run, hurdled over the defender, and then he fumbled the ball. But other than that,
Damn, you're right.
he had a great game. They got 200 plus yards out of their running game. You had McNichols back there getting some yardage. Rodriguez got some yardage. What's the guy's name they call Bill? I told me the other day 3 or 4 names. Krosky something, Krosky Murray or something like that.
Oh, Gronk, all that
So
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so they got great running. Debo Samuel made some very good plays as well as on the kickoff. He started the game off with like a 40, 45 yard kickoff return. So I think it was a very good win for the Commanders. I think they are setting themselves up nicely. They got a what I call a trap game this week. They're going to Atlanta. And the Atlanta Falcons are coming off a 30-0 loss to the Carolina Panthers. And and they also just fired their wide receiver coach. They didn't fire the offensive coordinator, Gary. They fired the wide receiver coach. It's the wide receiver coach's fault that they lost 30-0. But that was Ike Hilliard. But
Which is
I,
saying
I, I
something considering who, it's Ike Hilliard.
yeah, the defense played well. Deron Payne is doing a great job. It was always Deron Payne and John Allen. Now it's Deron Payne, and he plugged that middle up. Ashton Genty did not have any really breakout runs on Sunday. They bottled up the run very well. Geno Smith was not able to just get going like he can and make some, great throws. I think it was a very good team win. And also, I think another thing that happened on Sunday, and a lot of people say, and I agree, it motivated the team even more. Dan Quinn got knocked down one of the plays. Mariota's running out of bounds, and then he gets pushed out of bounds, and he runs over Quinn. Quinn has a big scar on his nose, blood coming down his face. He hops back up, and he's still right there coaching, still coaching. And it motivated the team because he's always telling them, you get knocked down, you jump right back up. And he did exactly what he's always preaching. He jumped right back up. Now, granted, I think the guy may have a concussion and doesn't want to tell anybody because, I mean, he took one heck of a shot when they knocked him out of bounds. But that team plays like their coach. They play tough, they play fast, and they play for keeps. And like I said, I like this Commanders team. I like the ownership of the team. You can see changes all the way around. We'll see how this plays out. This week they're going to Atlanta, and then the next game they play Coach Khaki and the Los Angeles Chargers. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it plays out.
John, I can't really add anything to all the excellent stuff you said. I do think in the case of Marcus Mariota that, well, first of all, I always thought he was still a serviceable quarterback when they picked him up. I thought it was a great pickup, not just in terms of providing guidance for Jaden Daniels, but in terms of experience. And as you said, he's in the right system. He's in a system that works. He again, all I saw were highlights on Sunday, but he was a plug and play quarterback for them, which is a
Mm-hmm.
great luxury to have. Granted, they were playing the Raiders, but given an injury situation, you don't take anything for granted. Just like you don't take anything for granted in the trap game that you just talked about in Atlanta. Um, I've always thought, he's a good bridge to have, and in the right system, he can thrive. Just like say, Joe Flacco in Cleveland, or gosh, I'm trying to think who was quarterback in Indianapolis, which is 3-0. Um,
Daniel Jones.
that's right, Daniel Jones. who I'm still a believer in. I am the only one who still believes in Daniel Jones, but and again, that's based off that rookie year he had with with the Giants. So
Can I tell you this real quick, Gary? I didn't mean to cut you off. Let me tell you this. Eli Manning and Peyton Manning had Daniel Jones on their what do you call it? Their podcast last night, whatever they do on
oh
ESPN.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
their
Eli
commentary for him.
Eli gave Daniel Jones all sorts of props. They were so nice to the guy. And Eli even said Daniel Jones probably right now is the greatest quarterback in Indianapolis Colts history. Eli couldn't think of anybody else that's better than him. So good to have loving siblings.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed that show last night. Uh, I'm hearing that comment. I'm so sorry I missed it. If you ever listen to radio, the Golics at halftime also have a good one. Listening to two
Mhm.
guys sometimes just talk football is hilarious and sometimes better than the game itself, in terms of offering insight. I'm sorry. That comment just made me break character, and I got to refocus. But in fact,
Hey,
I have nothing else to say. I'm just
hey,
gonna.
Gary. Gary, I want you to say one thing. Close us out. Take us home, as I say. But before you do that, give some props to University of Maryland, man, and the football team, the undefeated Maryland Terps.
Yeah, yeah, because we talk so much about the NFL. Yeah, we didn't talk about my alma mater, which went to Madison and got the job done. They really got the job. They defense really started the thing for 'em, started the game for 'em with with giving the offense short fields, and Malik Washington, um, he really sorted it out as the game went along. Maryland didn't give up much. And in fact, I was just looking at the stats. John, that game couldn't have been more even statistically. Maryland only outgained them by 30 yards. They had, I think it was probably the one thing is that they forced the Badgers to run a lot of plays, and they stopped a lot of drives. I listened to the Wisconsin radio broadcast while driving through the mountains of West Virginia, and their announcers, which were very fair, they said Wisconsin just looked flat. Yeah, they did get a touchdown, but Maryland really took it to them. And at 4-0, it's I think a win like that really can be a momentum builder. Granted, they have the meat of the Big Ten schedule, but to go up there and win a game in a tough place, I think bodes well for them. And keep in mind, John, they're only 2 games away from bowl eligibility, which we wouldn't have thought. If you can beat a couple of the also ran teams in the Big Ten, maybe play well, um, even I think 6-6 again, that might be a ceiling for them. But to get a win like that, I think, and with a quarterback who's homegrown, has a lot ahead of him, and that's something a lot of programs don't have. That's what I feel good about with Maryland. Not a transfer, a recruited guy that they can groom. And maybe, just maybe, we can see what kind of coach Mike Loxley is in terms of, just developing a talent because he's had good quarterbacks, but really developing one from scratch.
Gary, I'm going to give you this dream, then I want you to take us home.
Okay.
Washington, Nebraska, UCLA. Those are the next three opponents for Maryland. After that, they play Indiana. I want you to close your eyes and dream Maryland will be 7-0 when they play Indiana. Take us home, Gary.
Okay. As I open my eyes, I see the potential for a 6-1. I think Washington is always a tough team. Um, Yeah, a team that you can't look past. Indiana, I mean, they laid a beating on Illinois, and that's kind of scary. But that's the reason why, John, we watch sports to see how some of our discussions pan out over the next week. And you've got college football. You've got pennant races. The regular season starts to wrap up this weekend. We didn't even get to the Orioles. Maybe we'll do a special show on that. Hint. Um, let's see what else. Oh, WNBA, those playoffs, the semifinals, the Aces. Well, somebody trumped them on the Fever trumped them in that first game. We'll see if they can come back. It's a 5 game series, and it wouldn't surprise me if it went the distance. Hockey has started up, John, so we'll be looking at that. There's just so much to choose from, and we probably next week we'll be talking about Alabama versus Georgia and who wins that because I think whoever wins that game really takes control of the SEC. So, folks, watch all the sports. There's so much on your plate. You can go back for seconds. That's the whole thing, especially on Monday night. I would skip that appetizer game with the Jets and the Dolphins and focus on the second game because that's the one that will keep your interest. John, I thank you again, my man.
Hey, Gary, another great show, man. Thanks for everything. Thank y'all for watching, everybody. And watch some sports, man. Watch some football. Watch the NFL. Watch the NCAA. Watch some hockey season has started. Watch some soccer. Watch Major League Baseball. And also, please contact your affiliates and ask them to move the Miami New York Jets game to Thursday at 1:30. Take care. We'll see you again soon. Bye.